Well, hello, and welcome to ZBrush Live and Kermaco Designworks, hard surface modeling, sculpting, and sci-fi design. So before we get going, if somebody in the chat could let me know if you can hear me okay and see my screen, that would be great. In the meantime, I just want to remind everybody to like and subscribe. Doesn't cost you anything, especially if you like. Subscribe, I guess it does cost you a little bit of attention, but if you like this kind of stuff, you can watch my streams as well as streams from other amazing ZBrush artists on ZBrush Live. So definitely hit that subscribe if you like what you see, and ring the bell and do all the fun stuff. If you have questions during the stream, you can ask, and if you have questions afterwards when you're watching this on YouTube or somewhere else, you can always leave a comment, and hopefully we will see it and get back to you. All right, with that, I'll wait a few minutes for somebody to say that you are seeing my screen okay, and then we'll get started. All right, we're still working on this robot for this season, and yeah. So that's that. All right, so let's see here. I think last time we built this piston here, and I kind of like where it is. Hopefully I grouped these into one thing. Did I? I did. Good. Have another one in the back. I do. Good. And I want to just duplicate these and other one somewhere around here. So I did that thing, and it's kind of a good one to mention. I'm still, by the way, waiting for somebody to, in the chat, let me know if you can hear me and see my screen and all that good stuff. But in the meantime, if you guys are in, and you're seeing this, then you can kind of see what I'm going to show you here. One of the things is if you've got an object and you've got activate symmetry on, if you bring them together and then let go and then pull them apart, there's a fusion that gets done. So these are fused now, which is not what I want. So make sure that if you are moving them, not to intersect them and let go, But if you do want to, unless that is what your intent is, then that's a whole other story. But if in most times, let me hide this floor so it doesn't get in the way. I think that's under prompts. Here we go. All right, I still have not heard anybody in the chat say you can hear me okay. I think there's a little bit of a delay. I don't know how many minutes it is, but I'll wait a few. It's okay. And I think I like where this is, like this. So what I'm going to do is pull this whole leg assembly forward. Let's see if I can do that this way. Let's do the pizza boxes, and all I want to do is move these guys right here and nothing else. Right, for some reason it wants to include the head, which I don't want to include, and I don't really want to include, oops. I want to try this one more time. Let's see if this works. Just want to grab these guys. Here we go. All right, and let's bring this back, and I'm just going to do actual and, oops. All right, still am not hearing anybody say anything in the chat. What I'm asking for, which is a minor thing, is that if you do hear my voice okay and the volume is good, and if you can see my screen, just let me know. Let's turn perspective off here. I'm going to be moving these legs when I pose this model. So what I'm doing now is just kind of seeing, I don't think they're going to be moving that way. I think they'll be moving in from here. Oh, loud and clear. All right, thank you, Merkwares. I appreciate that. All right, I think that has something connected to it over there, so we're good. Okay. All right, cool. Yeah, and I kind of am starting before I get the okay about the audio, just because started a little bit late today, couldn't be helped, but yeah. All right. All right, I think that's good for there. And then in the back, all right, so since I brought this thing forward, I think I need to do a little bit of work here in the back. All right, let me hide the arms. I think that'll make life a little bit easier. And I haven't really gone and organized this yet. It's just one big mess of stuff, which is fine for now. Arm, let's hide these screws. Okay, and let's hide all of this over here. this as well. All right, so I'm just looking at it from the side. The gesture looks good. Could I make these legs a little bit thicker? I probably could. All right, so let's do this again. Luckily, it's still only selected these guys. Let's move it to the center. I don't know why it's moving to that center. Right. Be able to do it this way, and I don't know if doing it this way is a good idea. Let's give it a try. I don't need a lot. I just need a little bit. No, I'll have to do it individually, which is fine. Push this. Oh. Well, that's kind of odd. Let's solo this out. Why is that happening? Let's try polyframe. It helps. Right, I masked that part. This back part should move, but somehow it's moving in a weird way. And why is that? You see something here. This is not an array mesh, is it? Nope. Oh, I've got Z mirroring on, that's why. All right, not a problem. I think this is way too wide for this. So I'll have to figure something else out. I think the size it was is fine. I just have to do adjustments to other things. Maybe these guys right here. So this is a little bit different than how some modelers work, and it's because I don't have the design in mind. A lot of times they have 2D artists do the designs and then have 3D artists just make those things. And I think it's a lost opportunity because I think designing this way is a lot smarter. And of course, it's hard to change something that works, especially with people who are worried about their CG supervisor jobs and who think they know everything. So I'm astounded at how much how dysfunctional this business is that I'm in. But it's not any one person's fault, and I definitely don't fault the people I'm talking about, because I think they just want to be able to make a living, which of course nowadays is under threat as well because of all the weirdness. Attacks on multiple fronts, whether it's AI, whether it's joblessness, whether it's the political climate, whether it's uncertainty. So if somebody has a job, they just want the minimum amount of friction. It's not an age where people can try out new things and innovate and be aggressive. It's an age where people want to be a lot more conservative, and if they do have a job, they just want it to be as friction-free as possible, and doing something that is not something they're used to or comfortable with definitely throws that out of the water. And I don't know why I'm talking about this. don't know if anybody cares here listening to this. I mean, some of you probably want to do this for a living or are doing it as for a living, and so just kind of giving you a update on the state of affairs. All right, let's see. All right, so I'm just moving these cylinders, pistons into place. I think this is too close, and I think they need to be emanating from somewhere else. Now the good thing is, if you do have the 2D image, you're just basically matching it, and a lot of times they ask the 2D artist to do ISO images, and that helps for sure. But still, the complications arise when you don't really see the other sides of the model, like you don't really, and then seeing it in 3D, that kind of brings up a whole bunch of new worries. And also, I think that if you have something that is made and the 2D kind of gives you a different impression, because there's definitely a big difference between 2D and 3D, then, you know, art director might, or director or whoever is kind of in charge, will be like, well, you know, I like the 2D and I did approve it, but this isn't really working. Can you figure something else out? And as efficient as people think it is, it also is the cause of a lot of delays. And some of the more progressive directors do understand this process and support it. So so all is not lost. Some things move fast and some things move slow, unfortunately. But this is the way I do concept design, and this is the reason why I get hired. All right, I think this is kind of looking good. Here we go. And I'll be doing a lot more refining of these things as time goes on. Okay, that's good. Now what I want to do here is I want to take these and I want to also create another copy. So just control and actually I'm just going to duplicate it. Let's see. So it's already separated out. Turn polyframe off for now. And again, I'm not really worrying about the mechanical feasibility of this thing, because I'm really not, it's not going to be animated or built or anything like that. It's probably just going to be in a single pose. So I'm taking some freedoms with some of these pistons not really aligning correctly. But there is, if I was doing this and it was meant to be animated at some point, I would definitely be doing a lot of research as to the motion of things, and kind of a successful version of that was when they did the exoskeletons in Elysium. I mean, when they did the designs, the fabricators, I think the designs were a good place to start, but the fabricators were able to articulate those things pretty well. And if you haven't seen Elysium, it's definitely a great movie, one of my favorites. Kind of very timely, and yeah, so they really did a good job with the fabrication of the props in that movie. I don't know why Neil Blomkamp isn't making any more movies. Maybe he is, but for a while there he was making some great movies back to back. Hopefully that'll continue at some point. Would love to work with him. Designing some of this stuff. All right, so that's good. And then here, what I'm going to do is bridge these two. How do you balance doing the concept in 3D while accommodating technical requirements for rigging and animation? Well, so that's a very, very awesome question. That's a great question. So if it was, if it was going to be something that was going to be rigged and animated, I would ask to talk to the rigger or the animators and have a few meetings with them and determine that while I'm doing the design, right? So it's always a good idea. I don't know why this isn't working. I'm just going to delete my symmetry and mirror and weld in X. Let's try it again. So yeah, I'll just be talking to them the whole time. That's one way of doing it. But even before I talk to them, and I just want to show you this thing here. Whoops. I've got this folder full of animated, and you can find this guy online. You can find this fellow online, and he just has PDFs. He's got a whole bunch of different mechanisms here that you can look at, right? So, and there are links, YouTube links in this document that go and show you how each of these operate, right? So you can go and take a look at all of these mechanical things. So again, what I'll do is I'll put his name in the chat and you guys can check him out. And he's just somebody that basically looks up mechanical pieces and he basically shows how they work, right? So if you need certain things, it's a good kind of reference to go into and figure out how these things are done. So that's what I would do, is I would kind of figure out how things work. And also, I mean, it also has to do with experience. I've been doing this for a while. Mechs have kind of been my thing. So I kind of have an idea a little bit of how things work. So I start out that way. I know what kind of joints are needed, what kind of stuff needs to be connected to what. So those two things help me with that. Again, it really helps to have somebody, good kind of leadership when you're doing these things, because if there's good teamwork and there is a good synergy between the different people that are doing these things. All right, I think I'm just gonna do this over. Having a good synergy with the team, having a good kind of hierarchy, or kind of a flatter hierarchy, works really great. And having the tools to communicate is really, really important. So, and you can tell, like, there are good, oh man, that wasn't good. Well, we'll just have to do some of this work all over again. I don't know why ZBrush decided to crash on me, but not a big deal. All right. If you guys could be patient for 1 minute, I will get this back up and running. Oh, it's got the dialog box, that's why. Not a problem. Okay, there it is. And please stand by. All right. Okay. Right, let's load this in. Actually, I'm going to see if there was a quick save. I know there wasn't, but well, let's go ahead and just load the thing in first. Now, the other thing also is with animation, no, there isn't. There's my gorilla scene from last time. I think I could get rid of these. I don't need them. All right, let's just do the document thing here. Again, sorry for the delay, but if anybody uses ZBrush, you know that every once in a while it gets temperamental, but for the most part, it's fine. Okay. All right, and as I always tell my students or people I work with, whenever something crashes or whatever, you could get all frustrated, and I've seen people get frustrated and kick their machines and do all sorts of crazy things, but I think the thing to do is to be happy that you have just another opportunity to do the things over again, and maybe you having done it before can give you the chance to do it even better, right? So on one hand it's unfortunate, but on the other it could also work in your advantage. And it's also, you know, like I don't usually work without saving, but this was like right at the start, so I didn't really have much of a choice. But it happens, and you should know how to deal with it as an artist. The equivalent, I guess, of this would be if you were painting, for example, and you know, the oil paint dried, or you know, you were sculpting and the sculpt got dry, or you know, I mean, there are things that happen with physical traditional art as well that are similar. So I think the best thing to do is just to so here I'm going to use that thing that I talked about earlier to my advantage. Remember I told you when you bring things together and you let go and then you pull them apart, they fuse together. So I'm going to use that to my advantage, and that actually did not work out as well as I'd like. All right, I'm just going to connect these two together. I think that's the best way to do it. So I'm just going to delete these pink inside polygons and just close these, bridge these together. One, two, okay, here we go. See, it's this exact thing I did last time that made it crash, and I don't know why, but who knows. So usually I quick save often, and I don't really run into this, but today I had the problem happen. So does that answer your question, Merkwares, about the rigging? And also, I should mention that it does help for you to know a thing or two about rigging and animation, and I know a lot about both. So that also kind of can help you do the things. But basically, rigging robots is easier than rigging humans because there's no weight painting. It's just mechanical objects moving. So the thing you got to make sure of is that you have the right joints in the right places, and that everything is kind of, you know, has the range of motion that it needs. And once you have all those things, then you can do then it's pretty simple to animate it. And I'll be doing a lot of that kind of stuff when I'm posing it. But again, I'm not really that worried about that. Now this system here that I'm building, I'm just kind of making it look cool. I don't really care about the animation aspect of it per se. But if I was worried about the animation aspect of it, I'd make sure that whatever this joint is works well, that it rotates and it does kind of not clash with things like it's doing over here. But a lot of it also is experience, right? A lot of it is, you do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them, and then over time you kind of know what to do and what not to do. Let's do transparent and ghost. Move this in. Transparent and ghost is what you do if you want to work on something inside of something else, like I'm doing over here. I'm just bringing this to the forefront. Like so. If you just do transparent, it doesn't work. You have to have transparent and ghost on for it to work. All right, then what's this part inside? I think these were the parts that caused me a problem. I'm just going to do a check mesh. All right, it's fine. Okay. And these are just basically deformed cubes. They're pretty simple forms. I'm just going to... oh, wait, where did the other one go that I was working on? Oh, yeah, it's in the front. That's right. The other thing that's really important is to have enough time to do these things. So, I think a lot of times people just kind of have an estimate of how much time they need. They don't ask the artist, like a lot of CG supervisors or whatever, just kind of themselves say, well, this should take this long. And the good ones usually ask, ask the artist, like, how long is this going to take? And the really, really good ones have enough clout with the management of the process to pad it with a few more, depending on what it is, with a few more days or weeks, just to make sure that, because sometimes things takes more time, or, you could be working on something and then something you've worked on before needs a revision and you need to take time away from that and all that. So, yeah. I've had the fortune of working with some great CG supervisors and managers, and I've also had the quote-unquote pleasure of working with people who are not as well. And it does definitely make a difference. I kind of hate to generalize, but usually the ones that are super nervous and twitchy and smoke, usually, and again, nothing against smoking. If people smoke, they smoke, it's fine. But I've just found that people that are twitchy and nervous all the time and look like they're, worried about something or another tend not to be the best ones. But the whole thing, the whole industry here, the whole CG, the movie industry, the art, you know, like what I do is all under weird attack now because of AI, because of what's happening with Hollywood. And the good thing about something that's broken is that usually it gets fixed, right? So it's been kind of teetering on breaking for a while, and finally now it's like, you know, it's being pronounced as broken to the point where it is getting the attention of the governing bodies to do something about it. So we'll see. All right, do I have to worry about topology if you're only 3D printing your file? Okay, so there are two schools of thought on that, and I am with one of them. I always think good topology is a good idea, and it's a good idea because it prevents you from having crashes and whatnot. But realistically, when you're 3D printing something, it doesn't matter. All you need, there are certain things you need to worry about when you're 3D printing. Those are, you know, very pertinent to 3D printing, and that is that you have an airtight model. That's very important, and also that you, you know, you have the number of polygons you have is what, you know, the slicer can handle. And then you also have to worry about, you know, how you position your model in the you know, depending on what kind of model you're doing. So I think you have to worry about certain topological issues, but I think being, you know, having sound topology is a good idea, regardless of whether you're 3D printing or animating or whatever you're doing, because you never know what the model will be used for. So if you did it with bad topology just because you're only going to 3D print it, then all of a sudden, if you need to animate it for whatever reason, or you need to do a different pose or whatever, then if you have bad topology, it could cause all sorts of problems. Good topology is a very, you know, being cognizant of topology and making a concerted effort to have good topology has always paid off. So that's one school of thought. The other school of thought is that if you're 3D printing, you don't have to worry about topology at all. You don't care, right? Because it doesn't matter. Because, you know, basically 3D printers is going to look at one thing, which is just the outside shell. And usually you're decimating your model anyway. So there's a lot of people that say, like, no, we don't care about topology. A lot of people that do collectibles and do 3D printing don't worry about topology at all. So I don't know. I guess you can take whichever answer makes sense to you. For me, I always like to have good topology because I think it's just good discipline. And if you do worry about topology, it doesn't really take up that much more time, but it definitely makes you more aware, and you can deal with situations better if they come up. So that's my 2 cents on that. And good topology, you know, understanding topology and working with topology well is a acquired skill. You know, it's one of those things where you need a lot of practice and you need a lot of knowledge. You definitely need to be on top of your game and know what you're doing at all times. And I remember when I was starting, you know, it was like, when I was going to school at Noman, I had a really good teacher for 3D modeling, and he definitely made me understand what was going on, and I'm thankful that he did. so here we see that I'm doing something similar but not exactly the same. I just want 2 of these pistons to be in the front like that and 2 in the back. I did the back first. Let's do the front now. Duplicate. And all of this that I said also depends on one big factor, and that is deadlines, right? So sometimes you're given a project and you have the luxury of time. And if you use it wisely in the beginning, then that means you will have less headaches as the project moves forward. Meaning if you did a little bit of preloading of having good topology, if there are changes that need to be made, and they are because of issues that are coming up, like if the model is crashing or making the animation crash or whatever, and it has to do with the modeling, with the topology of it, if you've done that work initially, then you know, doing the edits and reviews are a lot faster than if you had to, you know, sometimes even have to do the whole thing over again, because the first time you took the risk of not doing good topology, and then it turns out that you know, it is required for some reason, and then all of a sudden you're in a bad place, having to rush and spend sleepless nights trying to catch things up. All right, I'm going to try and move these forward again. Pizza boxes. All right. Remembered that Z was in here. See, the first time I did it, I was kind of searching for what the problem was, but this time around I knew exactly what it was, just because I'd done it before. I'm going to move these out just a little bit too, not too much. All right, here we go. Cool, 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 cool. All right, let's move this forward. Oh. The feet look really kind of obnoxious right now, but I'm not going to worry about it. All right. It's amazing that I'm making this piece here completely right. So this will kind of take care of this, and then I need to make another one for that one over there. But unfortunately, what's happening is that it is, again, getting in front of this thing, which I don't want to make wider, so I need to push these in more. So, changing the subject, if you guys have not seen Andor Season 2, it's really amazing. I won't spoil anything, but it's a great, great show. And I'm always kind of amazed at how cool K2SO, the robot in that, looks. And such a great design. And the story, character development, everything in it was really well done. I would say Star Wars at its best. All right. All right, I think that's kind of looking a little bit better. I'm going to try and just Q-mesh these in. If you guys have not tried ZBrush on the iPad, the new one, the new version with ZModeler is pretty amazing. And I might stream with that at some point, maybe at the start of the next project, or at some point I'll start streaming with it again. I do have the setup. I did it once, and I never have since then. Just because when I'm using ZBrush on the iPad, I'm usually on the go. So, for example, the other day I was at I had an appointment with somebody, and it was at, if you guys don't know, in LA we have this amazing hamburger place called In-N-Out that makes amazing burgers. And so I was supposed to be meeting with a friend at one of these things, and they went to a different one, and so I had to wait for them to get there. And luckily I had my iPad with me, so I spent a good 25-30 minutes sculpting, and it just flew by. Or if I'm on the train going somewhere, if I'm sculpting on the iPad, it just flies by, and I just look up and I'm at my destination. It's awesome. Kind of wish that there was, it's getting there, but I wish there was a better public transportation in LA where I would not have to drive at all, and then I could even be working as I'm, as I'm getting to work or whatever. I could be finishing work. Of course, if it's a NDA project, I can't do it on the train, but a lot of times it doesn't, I don't, I could work on a part where it's not recognizable as to what it is, and I can just do it there. All right, this is starting to look really good. All right, so, I could put one more, I guess, but why? Let's see what it looks like. Why not? Let's duplicate this one more time. Structurally, there's no way they'd have one where this is. But I'll just, I'll entertain it for a minute. Seems to work. All right, so I think that'll do it for the kind of the joint in between here, and I just want to make sure that there's enough room, like if as I move these legs or whatever, that the pistons have enough of This one's like almost at the edge over there, so that's fine. This one has room. This one doesn't have a lot of room, but it's going into this part, so I can just kind of, you know, make that work somehow. Same here, same here. So here I'm not really worrying about rigging as much as I'm worrying about, you know, these parts, what will happen to them when I move the model. I move the parts of the model, the legs or whatever. Right. I think for some reason the number 3 works better for this. I think the one thing that people don't realize with doing this work is it's just like any other job where you actually have to manage the people as well as what you know. And I find the managing people part as the difficult part. The rest of it is not that hard for me. But managing expectations and managing people, that is definitely a good skill to have in whatever you're doing. All right, so you want to combine the two subtools, but they are not near one another in a subtool palette. Is there a way to quickly isolate or select them? Yeah. So you want to combine two subtools, but they are not near each one another in the subtool palette. I see what you're saying. Like one's up here, one's down here, and you want to combine them together. Yeah. So the way I would do that is like, let's say, you know, here I'll kind of create that example. Let's say I have this thing and it's way up here, right? And I want to combine all of these things together, right? So all the pistons into one subtool. So what I would do here is I would just go like select part of them. Just make sure that they're all selected like that. Let's see if this works in this mode, the pizza boxes mode. And I'm thinking, I don't know if this is going to work, but I'm going to try it. Okay, so there we go. So you just kind of right. So I'm just going to so suppose I want to select the pistons, right? So I've got one that's up here, way up here, right? And the rest of them are down here. And I want to combine them all together, right? So what I would do is, first of all, I would kind of create a scenario for myself that's going to be a lot easier than what I have here. So I go ahead and select all these things that are in the way, like this thing over here, for example, and hide it. This one as well, and hide it. And just hide as much, as many items as you can. And I would probably not do this in V1, which is like I made that mistake already. So I'm just going to unhide these. I'll probably pick another one of these V's, like let's say V7, you know, and make sure none of them are visible, right? And then just go and turn on the parts that you want. So this one, right, and is one of the ones I want to see. This one is 1, 2, 3. There's got to be 6 of them. Okay, and this one, I'll just select this one. So there, 1, 2. I guess this one got messed up somehow. I don't know why, but it's fine. So just you know, just go ahead and make them visible like this, right? And then you can do one of many things. You can either go here and click on merge and merge visible, and that will create one subtool with all of them. So I'll do that. Okay, it's not going to create it in here, but it will create another subtool here that basically has them all together, and then you just copy and paste that over. Okay, so that's one way of doing it. And another way of doing it is, well, I guess, you know, I mean, if I encountered it now, that's how I would do it. All right, so now what I want to do is go back to where everybody is, over here. Let's move this guy down. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a folder to put these in, pistons. All right, for some reason I just did everything from that point on down. I don't know why. Turn visibility on for everything here, and let's pop these things out of. All right, I think it'd be easier if I just deleted the folder and just created another one. All right, and then just pop these in here one by one. All right, and then I can just hide everything else and just make that folder visible. Like go to V7 here and just make that folder visible. All right, and I got to figure out what happened to this guy over here specifically. So I'm just going to Control Z it back. Oh, that's what happened. Okay. V1 with everything showing. All right, there's some parts here I don't want to see. Props and builders can go away, and this asterisk, the name of it, can go away as well. All right, so for the head, I want to work on that separately. I kind of have one here, and we kind of did some things to it, but I don't know why I'm not really super happy about it, and that happens. So I'm going to design a different type of a head for the model. So I'm just going to go and select this and pop it out. Of course, I don't delete anything because, you know, like if for some reason, you know, I get a call that says we need this sooner or whatever, I already have one that I've made, so I just kind of stick to that one. But I feel like I want to make a different one. This beautiful antenna. I probably will use this antenna at some point just because it's such a cool design. But let's go down here, and then this last piece. I'll probably do a better organization of everything and at some point, but for now, I think this is good. What's this? All right, I don't think I need this part, so I'm just going to replace it with something else, and I'm just going to go into my primitives here, press W, move this to the center, and let's start out with a cube, maybe a 2x2 cube. Of course, it's going to be too big. That's fine. And it's going to be this big blockhead mech. All right. Hey, Dev, how's it going? I'm doing great. How are you? How are you? All right, so I think this is this two of them? It is. Is it two or is it one? It's one that got fused together because I've got activate symmetry on, but not a problem. Let's get rid of these edges here. No, it is 2. That's not. All right, let's just do this one more time. I'm gonna put this in the center. I'm gonna turn symmetry off, put this in the center, and replace it with one of these guys. All right, so now we're good. All right, I'll start out with a cube, and what I'm going to do here is I'm going to I've got some pictures in reference here of different heads. I'm trying to decide which one I like more. I mean, I'm kind of trying to get away from it being too humanoid. So all right, I think I'm going to go with something like this. Right. So I should let you guys know that I am doing, so I stream on Fridays for, I stream every Friday now, and I alternate between ZBrush Live and my Twitch channel, and after I'm done with my Twitch channel, I post my my stream to my YouTube channel, so you guys can see it there. And I'm working on a completely different project there. I'm working actually on organic stuff. And what's really wild is that I'm doing a dragon, and last time I kind of wanted to get back into the I noticed that I'm doing a lot of work where I don't really move around a lot. I stay on the same area for a long time. So when that happens to me, I start to work on a project either at work or outside of work that basically is more of a practice. And the whole reason I do that is because I like to I want to just practice moving around the model. So see, now I'm working on the head. I mean, I worked on this midsection for about an hour, you know, considering the crash and everything. And that's too long to be working in one area. So I want to get into the practice that I had before of moving around a lot more. All right, so this is good. I'm going to pull this out as well, like this. It's kind of funny because I am doing something different than what I had before, but it is kind of a similar shape, interestingly enough. Okay, that's good. It's about what I want. I'll slide this edge a little bit. Software Tools, thank you very much. Software Tools says it looks awesome, and flattery will get you everywhere. You work with color, or do you just use the poly group? Work with color in what way? Of course, I always work with color, but I don't know if that's the question you're asking. So maybe let me know what you mean by do I work with color? Like, do I have different colors here, gray, different shades of gray. Is that what you meant, or do you mean like actually colorizing this, like, you know, saying, okay, I want this head to be red or something like that? So yeah, let me know what you mean, and I'll let you kind of understand my process and how I do the work. I'm going to insert a couple edge loops here. And I'm just going to solo this for now and drop edge loop this way and then pop this in. And I always like to press D to kind of get to this look, just because what I'm going to be doing is going to be somewhere in between the two. Like, I don't want it to be really polygonal, and I don't really want it to be too smooth. So this is just the extreme of it. And what's really beautiful about working in ZModeler is at any point in time you can just go to the move brush and now you're kind of sculpting, and I love that. I think that's kind of a unique power of ZBrush, is you can just jump between these two modes. All right, so now that I'm kind of sculpting and I'm making more, you know, kind of stricter shape changes, I probably want to go into dynamic subdiv and see what QGrid will do for me. I don't know if I applied this or what happened to it. Okay, I think I kind of like this over here. So I'm maintaining hard surfaces, but I'm also, you know, making a little bit of an organic shape. I'm going to pop something out, a cylinder out in here, so I don't really care about this. I do want the top to be straight though. Like that. Oh, colorizing my mesh. Yeah. I mean, I will definitely paint it at some point, but right now I'm just not worrying about that. And sometimes it depends. Sometimes I do the painting early. Most of the time I don't, though, unfortunately. Most of the time I just kind of do it as I do it at the end. So, you know, like if I had this now, and this head's looking already a lot better. Than what I had before. let's see, positioning wise, like maybe over here, right? So I mean, if I wanted to kind of start figuring out colors, I use ZColor, and which is a really amazing tool. And one of the kind of the probably, you know, me and maybe 2 other artists in the whole world use this method. But if you go to File here and go to Import, you can import color swatches from Adobe, and this is auto-saving, which is great. I'll let it do it. And I think I've shown this in a stream before, where you basically go to this Adobe website and it's got like these swatches, and you can just save a file from what that swatch is. And they're based on pictures, right? So, and you can use your cell phone to do the same thing. Like if you're out and you see a flower that you like or a butterfly or whatever, and you want to use those colors, you just use this app and it grabs those colors. Excuse me. And then you can see here that I've got a bunch of, excuse me, different colors. And you see this name, like this is urban. I think that's what that file was called, Space Shuttle Isolated or whatever. And then I, you know, like I really like this orange color, so I just say set color, and now I basically will use that color. And then if I, you know, I want to use this color on a specific area, then I just kind of go like, okay, well, I want this part right here to be that color. So I'll just fill object that color and then just move back to different colors, right? And then I basically will start having a couple of different colors on here. It's a good idea to break your model down, you know, from a contrast or color perspective, just to kind of get the different colors. But like I said, most of the time I do that at the end. Does the PolyPaint count slow down the PC? I don't think so. PolyPaint projections. Okay, so you know, depending on, so here, this is kind of an important thing, so I'll talk about it. I'll go off on the tangent. So basically, the way PolyPaint works is different than how, like, gosh, you know what? I'm just going to auto-save the quick save this, and the best way to show this is on one of the sample files here, and I'll just do it with that. So let me go over here to Project, and let's load Earthquake. Where are you, Earthquake? Because I know Earthquake has PolyPaint on him. Do they not have Earthquake anymore? Is Earthquake gone for good? Is Earthquake a... it is a project. It's not a tool, is it? Yeah, I thought so. Okay. Maybe it's here under sample projects, or not mannequin, not Manimesh. Maybe here, demo projects. Here it is. Okay. So I did quick save, so I should be okay. All right. So, and I don't really need all of his parts here. I guess I'll keep them, but I'll just hide them. And I'll keep the rope just so he's safe. Right. So if you look at this guy over here, right, he is 6 subdivisions, right? And if I go down in subdivision levels to 1, you'll notice that his paint here doesn't look good, right? I mean, it's horrible. But at subdivision level 6, it looks great. So if I was to paint on him, so let's say I want to paint some, you know, let's pick this here, and let's go to paint mode. I'm going to make this a little bit smaller. I usually do this before the stream, but I forgot this time. Let's go over to there. And let's say I pick a paintbrush here, and I just want to, you know, let's say he's got another thing here. Now you can see that the paint is going on pretty smoothly, right? But if I don't have enough resolution, like if this was low res like this, then the paint would be more blocky. And even though if I went up in subdivision levels to 6, it still will be choppy. So you do need to have a lot of subdivision levels to paint. Okay, So, but if you want it to take up less space, if you just don't want to have the PolyPaint anymore, what you can do is you can bake the PolyPaint onto UVs. And I'll show you how that works. So here, let's say he's got this, like big shape that, tattoo that he got on his stomach. And what we want to do is we want to be able to have this be the same with all resolutions while we're looking at it. Okay, so what I will do here is I will go down to UV map. And if I click on Morph UV, you'll notice that he does have UVs. That's great. And here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and let me do one other thing here. Okay. And what I'm going to do here is I'll go to PolyPaint, or texture map, sorry, and create, and I want to create a texture map from PolyPaint. And when I do that, you'll notice here that it basically paints this on the UVs, right? And in the UV map, you should choose right now it's 4K, which is great. You can go all the way up to 8K, right, by using the slider. But 4K is good. So now that I have a texture map, this one, I can go ahead and go to the PolyPaint and turn that off. Okay, so now I don't have PolyPaint on, colorize is off. There's two ways of doing this. You can either turn it off here, or you can go in here and click on the little paintbrush over here and turn it off. All right, so now that you have that, right, you can go up and down in subdivision levels and notice that your paint is solid. Now I'm subdivision level 1, right? But the PolyPaint is still not blocky. It's still good, right? And if I go up to 6, there's not a difference that I see in the PolyPaint or in the texture at all. So if you want to kind of maintain your textures while you are in lower resolutions, this is the way to do it. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and load our thing back. Quick save. This guy, 938. No. You guys are getting a little preview of what I'll be showing next week. But yeah, here it is. All right, so I have to do the document thing again. New document, no. Document double, yes. All right. So hopefully that kind of answers your question about the paint. But, anything that you're working on will slow your machine down if there's more of it, right? I mean, it's just ZBrush does have limitations, and so do PCs. So you kind of, it's a kind of a fine dance between all the different aspects of it. Do I use ZTexturator? Yeah, I use it. I do use it. So I actually have a stream that I did where I used it quite a bit, and it's. I guess this would be a good time to do the, let's see, where is it? Here we go. So if you go to the YouTube channel, Maxon's YouTube channel, and here I'll just go to mine first. Well, I'll just do it from here. So this model right here that I did, so this is my Instagram, and it's just basically Instagram/Kermaco, Instagram.com/Kermaco. If you go there, you'll kind of see the work that I do. And for this project right here that I did, and this was a stream as well, and you can see here that I've used ZTexturator for it, and you can see how to use it in the stream for this one. And I think this was maybe two seasons ago, or maybe once. No, it was 2 seasons ago. So this is season 7. So this was maybe 6 or no 5. No, this is 12. Sorry. It's too late in the day. But anyway, so if you go to the YouTube channel, and the way to go to the YouTube channel is just the Maxon ZBrush YouTube channel. So first, let me just show you that if you want to go to my YouTube channel, if you click on this link tree, it links to that. And I should actually put in a YouTube channel for the Maxon ZBrush channel in here too. So I'll update my link tree with that. So if you just go to my channel, these are the two videos that I did, so the two streams, and I'm doing a dragon in that one. But if you go to Max on ZBrush, here we are, we're live here. If you just keep scrolling down, or if you just do a search, if you go to live first of all, and if you just do a search for my name, it will show you all the different ones, and it's this one right here. So this one was it says it has 57 videos. These are not organized well, but it's season 10 is what it is. So this model here, I use ZTexturator with, oops. Do I use it? No, I think this is too early. So yeah, look up season 10. So Kermaco in season 10. Let's see if this search works. I try to put it in the, okay, so this is the playlist, but let's see if it just shows a video. I think, is it this one? Yeah, in some of these videos, I use ZTexturator for it, and it's pretty neat. The problem with ZTexturator, I like it a lot, but the problem with it is that it doesn't, you know, like outputting the maps is a nightmare. So if you just have one model that's got like, you know, a few UVs, then it's not that big of a deal. But if you have something complex like this one here, which has like, so far, we have 55 subtools. If I were using ZTexturator, I would have to output save a bunch of different maps for each one, and there's no automatic way of doing it. I know the developer, I've talked to him, and he knows that that's something that is needed, so hopefully he'll implement it. But in the meantime, you get some amazing results. Like if you're just going to render in ZBrush, you're not going to export the maps. It creates amazing renders in ZBrush. Yeah. I mean, it's, you know, it's worth it. If you do a lot of texturing, it's definitely a cool thing to have. All right, so let's see here. Let's bump out of dynamic and see what we are dealing with. Right, and I want to insert a polymesh here and pop in a cylinder. And again, I'm using my primitives brush that I have, and you can get that for free on my Gumroad. Again, if you go to my Instagram and go to the Gumroad or the link tree here, it links to my Gumroad, and if you click on that, so this is the thing I'm using. I'm using the pro version just because you know, I made it so I can use whatever I want. But I have a free version that's got 17 brushes, right? This one. And you can get this, and the cylinder I just used is in here, and so is the cube, and so is the other stuff. So this has all the basic shapes, and then there's this one that has some of the extra shapes in it, and you know, you can get this one for free. This one's $5, and then I've got my Cylindrical Pro Primitives Kit Bash Kit, which is $24.99. And this thing is amazing. I'm working on the next one. It should be out in the next couple of weeks. So yeah, and that's what I'm doing here is I just want to pop in a cylinder. So I just, you know, go to insert a Polymesh 3D, and then just go to my brush and pop in the cylinder just like that. It makes my workflow a lot faster. And a lot of these things that I sell are things that I make for myself. And then I go, well, people might need them. And also I need money. So it works out. But, you know, I have a free version for people that are not financially doing that well. So you can use that one if you need to. And if you have the finances or you do need the other parts, then you can purchase the $5 one. And if you do make a lot of cylindrical parts, then I would definitely recommend the Cylindrical Kit Bash Kit that I have, because it will save you a lot of time. when you're working. Yep. How to import what into the 3D printer? Pieces of cloth. How to import what into a 3D printer? Your model. So to 3D print something, you need something called a slicer. And a slicer is basically something that will arrange your model so that it can go into the printer, into the printer's thing. So a lot of printers come with their own slicers. There are ones you can buy as well. And then when you export this, you need to export it as an airtight model. And there is a 3D print thing available as a plugin that you can download. I think it's called 3D Print Hub right here. Right, so you know, here you basically set the size of it and you check the mesh volume, and you have like different size options here for it, and then you export it as an STL or 3MF or whatever, and then load it into whatever the tool is. So if you are 3D printing something, definitely use the 3D Print Hub. Also, Scale Master is good too. So you have all those options available to you. All right. If that was the question you were asking. I only had a 3D printer for a while. Like I got this Uniz or Uniz, or I don't know how you pronounce it, but this kind of Chinese 3D printer. And I don't really have a garage or anything, and so I just had it in my office. And the fumes got to be too much, so I thought, you know, I sold it to a friend of mine. Actually, traded it for something else to a friend of mine because he did have a location where he could, you know, put it in a kind of a ventilated area. But it was just going to be too much work to create a ventilated situation. And then I have a lot of friends that have 3D printers. So if I want something 3D printed, I'll just ask them. Or I can always send it off to a service too. But yeah, I don't really, you know, I mean, 3D printing is its own, you know, expertise, and I don't really have the time or energy to, you know, have yet another thing that will eat up my time. What's going on here? All right, that's looking good. All right, so see, now I'm kind of working too long on the head, so I need to move on to another part. I don't know if I'm going to be using this front shield part, so I think I'd had it hidden before. I'm going to hide it again. Excuse me, say with this one, it's been a long week. All right. Does that answer your 3D printer question? I'm sorry, I kind of, you know. Now, if I were to 3D print this guy, I would definitely spend a lot more time making sure the joints work. And that's a whole other thing, right? Like having the joints and the different parts work for a 3D print model is different, right? You have to have different considerations than when you are making it for animation or for a game or a movie, right? 3D printing has different considerations that you need to have for the model, and for that you have to worry about articulation. So, you know, for example, here I put these spokes in, but if I was going to 3D print this, if it was going to move, if it was going to articulate, like if I wanted to move the model, I would have to do a lot of research as to how these pieces would move, and create like different sockets for them to go into and articulate. So, but if it was just going to be a single pose, like something Sideshow would make or whatever, then it's easy. And I would pose the model earlier on. In that case, if I was doing what I just said, I would pose the model a lot earlier than, like I'd be posing it by now, just to kind of make sure that I'm not spending a lot of time in areas where it's not needed, and also making sure that you know, the articulation works specifically for that pose, because I don't really care about other poses if it's just going to be a kind of a static object. And also another consideration when you're 3D printing is, you know, do you print it out in one piece or multiple pieces? And if you do print it in multiple pieces, you got to worry about how do you construct it, how do you build it. But yeah, like I said, 3D printing is its own thing. And, you know, just like riggers, if I was doing a project where I was going to 3D print it, I probably will be talking about the, you know, the guy who's doing the printing, and if it's going to be mass manufactured, I also need to be talking to the fabricators and figuring all that out. So just like anything else, the most important thing is communication, right? So make sure you communicate early and often with your people. All right. So here's a situation where I want to merge two things, and I want to take this piece and merge it with this one. Where's that one? Okay. You know what's kind of wild is that for this Friday stream, the Maxon one, I usually have a good crowd. Usually people are asking questions. It's pretty interactive. On my own personal stream, I still have to build an audience. I mean, I have on my channel I have 800 subscribers, so it's not that many. So it's usually pretty quiet, or it has been the last couple of times, especially last time. Like it was forever, there was nobody on until the person came. I mean, I still do the work because I know the recording will be on, but there's not much of a dialogue happening or answering of questions. It's just more me just plugging away. And I might not answer questions during that stream. Like I might just have the questions for the Maxon ZBrush live stream, just because that's kind of the purpose of these streams, is to, you know, help the community out as well as spend the time working. But on my streams, I might not, you know, I might not answer questions as much. I might just be working. I might also just be listening to music and not talking as much too. So I don't know. We'll see. But if there aren't enough people and there is enough of a dialogue to be had, then I'll do it. So some of you that tuned into this, tune into that as well if you have the time. Because it's always more fun to watch these things live than to watch the videos after the fact. Even though having them after the fact is useful too, just in case you need to remember something. What I'm kind of curious about is that will there be a point where AI can just show you a specific part of a video? Like, you know, let's say you have a question and you go into ChatGPT or whatever Google's version is it, I forget all the names, there's just so many of them now. But you go to Google's AI and you type in like, hey, I want to know how to do this in ZBrush, and they'll find all the streams and the specific points in the streams of where you ask that question. I wonder if AI will be able to handle that. Because right now, I mean, as impressive as it is, it's pretty lame at certain things still, which I'm surprised about. With the amount of hype and amount of money that's going into it, it's still like, you know, it's kind of like, yeah, look, you know, the baby can clap now, but then, you know, like maybe it's 20 years old and it's still just clapping. You want it to do something else. Yeah, I'm kind of not as impressed with AI as some other people are. Like, I haven't really looked into the coding aspect of it, like vibe coding they call it, I guess. I haven't looked into that. I do have a computer science degree. I should look at it, but I haven't really been coding for quite a while. I've been doing this instead, which is more along the lines of what I want to do at this point in time. All right, just kind of working out the arm structure here. And it's funny how, like, little by little this thing comes together, and you can see here I'm moving all around my model. Like, the practice that I did last time helped and get me in the mode of remembering to do that. And if you're working all around your model, you're seeing things differently. And I don't know, I should be not using this material, by the way. The materials I like to work in are either basic materials, so that's kind of my go-to. That's the material that gets loaded in at first. And I've really been liking this new Monster Clay Gray as well. So usually I sculpt in one of these two. It looks better. I think I might have some sort of shadowing or some sort of effect on. All right, so what to do with this stomach area? Let me look at my references here and find something that I like that could work well. What time of day is it where you guys are at? Is it daytime or is it nighttime? I should also ask what country you're in. It's usually an interesting conversation. I usually have 2 cups of tea when I do this. This time around I just have 1 because I didn't have time to make the other cup. As I mentioned, I was kind of hurrying to get on. Kazam, I agree with you. I think that so here's the thing. It's a cascading thing, right? Like if you think of the 70s, when I was a kid, the big deal was a stereo system, right? Like, you know, people had the amplifier and the record player and a set of speakers and oh, John, you're in California like me, so yeah, we're in the same time place. So yeah, I mean, there was all this, right? So you know, you bought the stereo system and the speakers, and you hooked it all up, and then you put your record on, and you listened to music, and it was a big deal. So it was all that, you know, that was the craze. And then, you know, all sorts of other things came in, like you'd get a separate equalizer, like you'd get these. I remember, you know, my dad had one, and then, you know, I bought one too when I was younger. It was like Kenwood, and it, you know, it came in its own case, and there was a tape deck in there, and then there was a tape to tape as well, and all these things. And the whole reason for this was that, you know, it would help sell music, it would help sell technology or whatever. So if you look at AI, it's the same kind of thing, right? So in order to do AI, like look at, you know, chain out the industry, right? So AI is the end product, let's say. All right, so what is needed to power AI? Well, there's cloud computing, so there's servers and hard drives and PCs or whatever. If the PC industry is dying down and the server industry is ramping up, you need more compute, more computers, more graphic cards. You look at a company like NVIDIA, for example, makes a really good amount of money selling their video cards to companies, or they used to be called video cards. Now they're like compute cards or whatever the hell they call them. So, you know, there's a whole other industry that AI fuels. And also, you know, the financial, you know, venture capitalists or whatever, they always need something to you know, be pumping and dumping with. So, you know, it was crypto and NFTs for a while. So people were using video cards to mine crypto. And then, you know, and then it became something else. VR and AR was a big deal for a while, and they thought that was going to take off. It kind of did and didn't. But I agree with you. I think the money could be spent on better things. But on the other hand, also, you got to think about, well, is this money really helping the economy grow? And if it's helping the economy grow, and it is definitely creating investment opportunities and whatnot, then, you know, maybe the kind of the trickle down effect of that would be a good thing. But I don't know. I mean, personally, I think AI is overpromising and it's going to underdeliver. And the minute that becomes obvious, I think it's going to be pushed to the background, and the next thing is going to come forward. And I don't know what that next thing is. But, you know, I mean, there are certain things that AI will be good at, and it will always be part of our lives. You know, the question is to what extent. And I don't know. I think that's kind of, you know, the jury's out on that for me. But yeah, I mean, the whole kind of, you know, the hi-fi thing was like a big deal. And now nobody has that, right? Everybody has, like, I'd never go to anybody's place and see, like, there are some audiophiles that have record players or whatever. But even if they have record players, it's like Bluetooth usually and connected to something else, to Bluetooth speakers. So that world of, like, you know, having an amplifier and having a stereo or whatever, I mean, it's just, the market is a lot smaller than it was before. And so I think same thing will happen with AI. Is I think they'll find where AI really works well, and it will power those industries. And but right now, I think the most tragic thing that's happening is that AI is being targeted as something that's going to reduce headcount with people. Like, you know, so they're saying that a lot of people are being laid off because companies are trying to do all the things that those people do with AI. And that's actually not a good thing, because if there's a big reduction in jobs, then that means that people are not going to have jobs, which means they're not going to be able to buy things, and that will affect the economy in a bad way. So if you're a company that sells something and you replaced all your people with AI and everybody else did that, then nobody's going to have money to buy your thing, right? So I think they need to figure that one out too. Yeah, there's sociological things that are going to be a big deal, and hopefully they'll figure those things out without it causing a big disruption in how everything functions in the planet. Because if they don't do it right, then because if you think of the Industrial Revolution, I mean, like, some really serious things happened then, and it took years for it to recover. Luckily, there were places that people could go to kind of start over or whatever, but I think now it's just a whole different story. So it's going to be interesting to see how this shapes out, and I'm really interested in seeing what happens. I'm kind of excited that this is happening in my lifetime. I have a front row seat to seeing how society is going to adopt AI, and how whether the disruption is going to be short, and smart people are going to figure out how to make it work, or if we're going to have a collapse of something or another and build ourselves back up from there. Who knows? One of my favorite authors, William Gibson, said, "The future is already here." Excuse me. It's just not evenly distributed. And I think that's going to play, that terminology is going to play a big role in how this thing shapes up. Well, I mean, I think there are AI things that have been pitched that basically will do, like, for example, I could just say, okay, I could type in a prompt and say, create a robot for me, and it does. And then I basically pull the lever and, do the iterations or whatever, and get to a robot that looks the way I'd like. And then there is something that says, okay, make this robot in 3D. And what it does is it basically, now AI can take a picture of something, or can extrapolate something so you can see around it, right? I think BizCom does that. And so if it generates a turnaround of the images, then from that, using something like photogrammetry, it can generate a 3D model. So at some point, somebody can come to me and say, why am I going to do this in ZBrush when I can just do it in AI? And the answer is that you probably will be able to. However, unless AI can do some of the other tasks, like retopologize, or do some of the things we talked about earlier, like, hey, what if I want to 3D print this? Can AI figure out how to make it 3D printable? Can AI figure out how to rig it? Will it even need to be rigged, or does anybody care about that anymore? So there's a lot of questions to be answered. Regardless of whatever that is, I'll still be using ZBrush. I'll still be doing what I do, just because I think that there is plenty of opportunity still for ZBrush artists to do their work. And I think the minute AI doesn't do what it's supposed to do, I think a lot of the it's kind of like what happened with Doge. A lot of people, here in the US, a lot of people got let go because there's this government efficiency program that's being run by Elon Musk. And then after they let all these people go, they realized, oh no, we need these people. So they hired them back. So you know, I think that's what's going to happen, is that people are going to be like, well, let's just do all this with AI. And then, you know, when deadlines are looming and they can't get the AI to do what they want to do, they're going to have to come back and hire all these artists back. And unfortunately, you know, we have to survive that time, which is frustrating. And also, it deters people from wanting to go into those careers. So if you were a kid now and you wanted to be a CG artist or a VFX artist, and you're reading all these things about AI, you might think, well, you know, I'm going to spend all this money and learn all this stuff and spend all this time and effort. And if it's not going to be functional, if it's not going to be something that I, you know, am going to be able to make a living out from, then maybe I shouldn't do it. So it's also going to cause a lot of artists not to do this. A lot of new students and whatnot to choose something else because they feel like, well, this is going to be something that AI is going to do. So there are some, you know, long-term damage things, but I don't think it's going to be that detrimental. I think we'll know soon enough. I think with all the investments that are being put into AI, something's got to be delivering very soon here. And if it doesn't, then that might be the cause of the next big financial crash. All right, let's see. Yeah, the general public don't understand. That is correct. Is there a way to learn all the parts of ZModeler? That's a good question. And if you're starting new, well, there are, I think that Joseph Drust did some videos on a while back on every single feature of ZModeler, right? So when ZModeler first came out, he just did these videos of every single one of the functions and what they do. So what I recommend you do is instead of doing it all at once, just do them one at a time, right? Like just pick 2 or 3 of them a day and just say, okay, today I'm just going to focus on these things, right? And then do those, and then next day do a few more, and then before you know it, you'll have all of them down. And you know, there's some that you will, you know, there's some functions that you'll use more than others. There's some that I never use, and they could be useful, but I kind of either forgot about them or my workflow just kind of doesn't use those. But I think that's probably, if I were doing it from scratch, that's what I would do. It's not that daunting, by the way. I mean, you know, I've learned a lot of other tools, and there are, you know, like I remember like when I learned Maya, it was just so daunting at first. All the different things, you know, do you focus on animation? Do you focus on modeling? And when I learned Maya, a lot of the tools that are in it now are not there. Were not there. There was a plugin that I needed to buy to be able to do some of the things I was doing. Or I can do now. Like there was something called Next Tools, NEX Tools, and now that's just part of Maya. And you know, I mean, I'm learning Blender, and there's a lot of things to learn there too. So again, just don't think that you're going to be doing all this in one day, and you know, it takes time. I didn't get to be this good in ZBrush in one day. I've been using it since 2005, so that kind of gives you an idea. But the good news is once you start learning, right, if new stuff comes out, you just build on what you know. You're not starting from scratch. So there's a point in time at which, you know, you are doing some heavy lifting, but just know that, you know, that doesn't last forever. I remember when I first took my ZBrush class at Noman, my teacher was Maddie Spencer, and I used to remember like she used to do some amazing things. And I used to be like, so like, why can't I do that? Or why don't I know that? I used to be really frustrated. And she's a great artist too. So even, you know, more frustrated there. But, you know, over time, I learned all the stuff, and now I feel pretty good and confident about it. It's basically my tool of choice, and I use it all the time. All right, I'm really liking how this is coming along. And you can see here, as I move all around the model, it's starting to look better and better and better. So this is the 7th episode of this. So we've done 7 of these. So that's 14 hours, more or less, with tangents and everything. So just kind of get an idea of, you know, how long it takes to do one of these things. If you look at kind of the amount of time it takes to do this, you get an idea of how long it takes. I've not tried Blender with Copilot. But that's a interesting thing. So you just ask it questions and it tells you. Yeah. Microsoft just laid off 6,000 people and the head of AI at Microsoft. So, but I know that they invest in OpenAI as well. So I don't know. I don't know how well Copilot is doing. I think they were taking it out of the normal build. But yeah, I think eventually, you know, either by voice or whatever, there could be systems that basically, you know, help you along. Like, how do I do this? And it just tells you. I mean, now if you want to find out how to do something, you basically have to you know, Google it, or you have to, you know, I mean, I'm getting more and more into asking AI questions. But yeah, I mean, it could just show you a video. And at some point, I think with agentic technologies that they're working on, I think they can even go into the program and attach it to the program and do it for you. Like, you know, hey, I'm trying to do this. Can you do it for me? I'm trying to retopologize this model. Can you do it for me? Or can you create the UVs for me? And then AI will do it for you. So I kind of envision things like that being possible. But again, like, the whole thing is automatic is good if it doesn't cause more work to redo it. I remember when I first started coding as a job, and I got code from somewhere, and sometimes it was just so difficult to read it and understand it. I just recoded everything from scratch. It was easier to recode everything from scratch. So it's going to be the same thing with AI. Like, you know, if the results it gives you are going to cause more of you to do more work, then it might not be worth it, right? And you don't know that until you actually, you know, spin the bottle and pull the lever or whatever you're doing to kind of get the result to come through. So yeah. Yeah, Alexam, thank you very much. Yeah, I mean, you know, I think you're right. I think, you know, I think that people will do what they want to do, you know, regardless. I think ZBrush is still very viable. I think Blender is very viable. I don't know about Maya. I think Blender will overtake Maya at some point. I think it already has, with amateur, not amateur, but like freelance people or whatever. But I think Maya is very well integrated into a lot of production pipelines. So I think it'll be around for a while. But at the end of the day, if the company wants to save money, you can't beat Blender's price. And you know, it used to be, Blender used to be a lot, there used to be a lot of things that you'd want to have in Blender that Maya had, but more and more stuff's coming to Blender. And so I think unless Autodesk, you know, does a massive investment, in Maya and their tools. If they are just going to keep riding the subscription train and putting a new feature in now and again, I don't think that model is going to work too well for them. So I think they're already seeing that. I already see them kind of trying to push their way back into the forefront of things. I wouldn't be surprised if their marketing message becomes, squarely aimed at Blender. You know what else I've been using a lot of lately is Cinema 4D, and I really like it. I think Cinema 4D is really, really simple to use, and you get some great results, like very, very quickly. So I think more graph people use Cinema 4D, but I don't see why not. Why not using it? Why not to use it for other things? Well, interestingly enough, 3ds Max has the biggest audience of all of the CG applications. I mean, I don't know if Blender would be counting that, but if you look at Autodesk's numbers, they have a lot more Max users than they have Maya users, and mostly it's because a lot of architectural people use Max, right? It's used a lot for architecture, so there's a big kind of contingency of people who use it for architecture. And also, a lot of game companies use 3ds Max. And there are companies that are very loyal to Max, like Blur, for example, started out with Max. So they're very loyal to it. And they probably have Max artists that have been there forever, and they probably will be there for a while. So yeah, I mean, Max is pretty. There's so many tools. I mean, I don't think any one of them is going anywhere in the short term. But I've already seen 2 software packages that I use go away. The first one being Softimage XSI. So Softimage Autodesk just killed it. And then recently Modo, which is also another software that I used to use. So it is very possible that that some of these software packages will go away, and that's what I when I teach my classes, I usually tell my students to learn the concepts and not just the software packages, because you never know what could change when. I mean, the thing about ZBrush is that it's pretty unique. Even though Blender has some sculpting tools, and they're nice, they're not bad. It's nowhere near as comprehensive as what ZBrush can do. So I think ZBrush is around. It doesn't really have much competition at the level it's at. So, but I think, Blender, 3ds Max, Maya, Cinema 4D, a lot of these are, have very, intersecting capabilities. So, it is feasible that, like, at some point Autodesk cannot maintain both products, and we'll have to either consolidate them into one or get rid of one of them. And I'm actually surprised this hasn't happened yet, but if they have a healthy market for both, then I think it's not going to be an issue. Yeah. But the thing about Blender is that, I think as long as they keep getting funded, they can just keep adding stuff and hiring people and moving it forward. And it being open source really helps, especially with studios and things that they do. All right, so we're kind of nearing the end time here of the stream. So I'll just open it up for last minute questions that you might have. And I'll just continue on for a little bit longer. And then I think I wanted to actually do more of this today, but I'm kind of, it's been a long week, as I said. So I think I'm just going to end it. I decided to make the legs longer, and it already looks great. All right, I think this is good enough for now. So let's do a quick render while I'm waiting for last minute questions. And then we'll call it a stream. All right, so I just want to move all these parts and these ones. Oh. Why is it not moving all the parts? Okay, it is selected. Why isn't it moving it up? Screw it. Sometimes it's better to move everything else than to try to do this. So I'm going to do the less painful way of just moving the ground down. And moving the dude down. Right. Let's turn perspective on. And let's see. Let's see if this will look good. PR. All right, yeah, I think this is a good render to leave it at. Okay, whenever I do mechs, people show up. Yeah, you know, I mean, I do other things that are good too. Mechs are kind of my specialty, but I also do organic. If you watch my other stream, I'm working on a really cool dragon and a very, very cool looking rider, which you guys are going to see next Friday. And so yeah, but I enjoy doing mechs. I really do. Once this, well, you know, yeah, it is, you know, I wasn't using Modo much recently. I only used it for Mesh Fusion. And so when it shut down, I mean, I wasn't that impacted, but I have friends that were really impacted. So yeah, it is pretty hard. So yeah, I think the whole point is you're not really starting from scratch. The point is that you're losing some muscle memory, because once you use something a lot, you basically get used to it, and so it's really easy to kind of work fast, right? But the concepts are the same. So if you switch, like when I went to Cinema 4D, like I didn't know anything about Cinema 4D, but I understood all the concepts, so learning it didn't take long. And I'm a little slower. Same thing with Blender. I'm a little slower on Blender than I am in Maya. But eventually I'll get fast. I mean, if that becomes the tool that I use, and if I have a project where I'm in it every day for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, then I get faster at it. So I wouldn't sweat it. I wouldn't sweat the difficulty of starting over. Okay, well, I have a newbie question here. When you continually save a tool, do you keep going to save as, or is there another way? Oh yeah, no, there's a better way. So I have save as over here, but there is a new thing that ZBrush has, and I don't know if yeah, here it is. I put it on my UI already. Just click on Save Next. So that's under File and Save Next. And that will automatically just save the next version for you, right? So that's basically the better way to do it. So you can either do Save As or you can do Save Next, and Save Next will just you know, it will just save it with a new number at the end of it. So that would be the smarter way to do it. Okay, and did I ever do a mech for a game? Yes, but it didn't come out. I was doing a mech for this game that company was pitching, and it looked pretty cool. But I think that the reason why the game didn't happen is because I don't think they had coders that were going to be able to make the game work. And it looked a lot like other games that were out there. I mean, the gameplay did, but the mech that I made for it looked very unique. So the answer is yes, but it's not. It never came out. Um, yeah, yeah. If you're a Moto user, I mean, it's sad. I mean, you can still use it. I still have like many versions of it on my computer. I think the last one I have is 9. I never jumped onto the subscription model just because I don't really need to. It wasn't something I used all the time, and the one that I had worked fine. And I did upgrade it. Yeah, I use 801. Okay, yeah, I think I'm on 9. Like, let's see, what version do I have? Let me check here. I think the last version that I used was 9.0 something. Let me look under 3D here. Moto 902 SP3. That's the one I have. So I don't know if you remember, but they used to have like SP1, SP2, SP3. But I don't know if you can attain your life. I don't know. The thing is, though, there's always a aftermarket, you know, like they're old games or whatever. There are people that still keep things going. So if you're going to do a new installation, I'm sure if you do a little bit of research, you can find a way to do it. I don't think it's that impossible. You can probably, you know, I think they even made it available for free at the end. So if you do just a little bit of digging, I think you can continue to use it. The problem is they're not fixing bugs and also no new features, right? So it's tragic when that happens, but you know, if you're happy with something and it works, then you just basically need to create a functional environment where you can continue to use it. Like if, you know, Maxon stopped using ZBrush or supporting ZBrush tomorrow, right? I'm sure that there will be ways of doing it. I mean, I already have versions that work without subscription. I bought the 2023 upgrade when it was available. So I do have that perpetual license. I still have 2022 installed on my machine. I have that perpetual license. And, you know, if this becomes not available for some reason, I think, you know, Maxon might have a way for you to use it. And if Maxon doesn't, then there's a whole user base out there that will do it that way. All right, so I think that kind of concludes today's stream. I want to thank all of you that are on, quite a big number of you that are on live, and please tune in to my personal one too. And again, it's next Friday, same time, 7 to 9 p.m. Los Angeles time, and it's on my Twitch channel. And again, if you want to know what my Twitch channel is, the best thing to do again is remember my Instagram, right? So if you remember my Instagram over here, you can click on the link tree, and the link tree will give you the link to my Twitch channel right here, right? And you can just click on that, so you can watch that as well. But I also will be doing this every other Friday. The Maxon, so the mech will continue a week after Friday, and the next Friday will be the dragon. All right. So thanks again for watching, and happy ZBrushing, everybody. We'll see you next Friday. And